Thank you, Daniel. Actually, I'm here today to talk with you about AI, and especially why AI will be such a tremendous change for not only the world, for each of us. So, when I talk about it, I want to show you a little bit kind of what is the development and what can we expect in the future. So, think about, in which fields is the computer better than the person? Everything started more or less kind of 1997 with chess. Yeah, Garry Kasparov losing versus Deep Blue. First time a human really lost a game. Then, really famous, or more or less the first time that kind of the broader audience has a view about what AI can do. If it is a real AI in this example, we will talk later probably. But Watson beating the two best ever players in Jeopardy. Jeopardy, it's a game, it's all about kind of making jokes or having like these word jokes. It's understanding language, yeah? Something where we always said, oh, this is something where we people are really good in. It's like creativity, speaking. But no, there the computer beat the two world best players. Then AlphaGo, the last one, and it's a big one. Why? Because when you ask people about what is AI, when you ask 10 people will tell you 10 different things. But actually, I think this is the first most common ground where everyone's saying, yeah, here AI really helped us to solve a problem what was there for a long, long time, and even we didn't expect it to break it. Why was it such a big thing? When we think about chess, what there happened has nothing to do with AI. It's just, for all the nerds with you and me, it's a brute force attack. Actually, just calculating one possibility after another. What will happen and what could bring us to a winning strategy. But this don't work for Go. Why? Because you have so many fields that you have an exponential growth, big number. What can happen? So actually, when you calculate all possibilities on the field of Go, you have more possibilities than you have atoms in the universe. So you see, okay, I cannot do this calculation. So what do we have to do? We kind of have to come up with more intelligent solution. And actually, what they does, this is kind of how a convolutional net or kind of system is looking like. And this is actually, it's quite easy. You always have 2, 3, 4 things what works with each other. So when the one thing is going up, let's take a total different part. For example, real estate market, when you have more rooms, bigger square meters, then the price is going up. If you have a better location, price is going up. And then what you do is kind of actually, you're thinking about, hey, bring it together, bring it to a new level. If I have only 50 square meters and I have 10 rooms, it's not working so well. So think about how this can work. So bringing the points together. This is the same system what is also working here, thinking about what is a winning strategy, what is a good move for us. And what they have done here is actually they used the system, kind of neural network, to learn the moves, and what they did, they let the system play versus itself. So it plays multiple million times, 30 million times versus itself, and thought, okay, which version of me is better, is the better one. So kind of when you ask me about what is AI, AI is a system what can develop itself and kind of find winning strategies. And then, very important point, can transfer it into other parts. It's kind of when it can learn how to ride a bike, it can also learn how to ride a car. So actually, the same system is learning right now Starcraft, a computer game. Yeah? So finding their winning strategies. And when you look back and think, probably these dots on a Go board is like pixels, you just have here more pixel. But when you can solve one computer game, you can probably also solve this computer game. And when you think about solving this computer game as kind of how to drive a car in a computer game, then you can also solve real life, because driving a car in a computer game is not so much different than driving a car in real life. And actually, there are multiple fields right now where we have breakthroughs and where AI is more capable than the human. We have lip reading, we have air combat, we have playing poker. Again, a big major breakthrough. Why? Because in poker, you only have a minimum amount of information. It's like here in the world, like having always only a minimum amount of information. At the Go board, you see it, you have all the information. But there, you're not. And even there, a computer is more capable than the human. So, what I want now is that you think about what kind of repetitive task do you have in your daily work. Normally, it's the task what you do most often. When you do it most often, it's often repetitive. And when you have data to that, you can probably have in the future an AI what can support you and can take over some work from you. And I want to give you kind of our example, what we done and what problem we solved with AI. It's kind of called LISA. It's actually standing for Learning Intelligent Sales Agent. We helped a lot of startups and bigger companies sell their products. Always did the same things. Finding decision makers, contact decision makers, qualifying them, setting appointment. Sales process, it's super repetitive in the beginning. Some say yes, some say no. You have to make an appointment, you have to send some prices. They have a few questions. And to be honest, there's normally always the same questions. So actually, we've developed Lisa. What can Lisa do today? Quite straightforward. She connects to an inbox, she can sort emails, and then, like a good assistant, drafting replies for you. So she can write emails. What does it mean for the future? Actually, our goal is that we are developing a salesperson, a real salesperson, what can be not only getting through the Turing test, no, even becoming the best salesperson in the world. You can speak, you have all the data about the persons, you have all the things what you need. And why we kind of really believe that this will happen, and I want to show you what makes us kind of this confident that this development will go, that we not only have all the parts together, what makes an artificial system a more capable salesperson in the future than a human. It's really the development what we have in the field. So, what are the drivers of AI? Actually, when we think about back to the examples in the past, the New York Times was writing 1997, it may be 100 years before a computer beats humans at Go, maybe even longer. That's why in 2016, Master of Go board game is developed by Google Computer Program. This was escalating quickly. It was way faster than we thought in the past that we could solve it. And this is kind of a development, what we see now every day. There's so much things that are getting solved and getting created through the work of AI. It will change a lot of fields. It's like when we see kind of what do you need for an AI, you first need data. We had kind of last century a mobile-first world and mobile-first strategies. Why? Because you wanted to make data available. All this data, what we created. When we see it's not here like 1900. This is 2010 at the beginning of the slide. And it's 2020. We have such an exponential growth here. And now, I always say, now the next step is that data kind of learns to walk. We have all the data. We can learn from it, get some solutions. But actually now, the data starts kind of to act on what it is. It's kind of starting to create action. It's going one step further. It's not only there, it just helps you, it's also active. And another very important point is kind of, I call it now the tech axis, because it's again like a wonderful exponential curve to show, it actually shows the availability of APIs. So what we saw in the last years is kind of the availability of building blocks, of frameworks for artificial intelligence. So from TensorFlow, yeah, to a lot of open libraries for algorithms, yeah, but also sets of data, what you can get. Yeah, you always have to think, okay, where do I get the data? Because when you know where you get the data, you normally have everything together. You still need experts in the field. But when you think about the development of how to produce an app, it's like 8-9 years ago, you always had an agency, you always had an expert, an iOS and Android expert. But today you just click and point your app together. And this is the same development, what we also will see with AI solutions, what we will go. And especially Amazon AWS, so Amazon Web Service, what we see with Google. It's like Microsoft. You always get more and more tools in your hand and access, and it's going so much faster for you to develop your solution. You just have to look for it. Another point, and it still hasn't stopped, is computing power, for sure. Why we also have this tremendous breakthrough? Because now we have the capabilities of really do all this calculation, and don't let you tell that Moore's law is over. It's not. Yeah? And here, when we talk about transistors on silicon base, we not even talked about quantum computing and the exponential growth we will have there. Yeah? So, sure, will we all be unemployed? Because when AI is so cool and can do everything, and we automate everything, will we all be unemployed? We have to work, or are we allowed to work anymore because we are not allowed to drive anymore because an AI is way more safe and secure to drive than when we did it in the past? And actually, it's a little bit like we are standing right now on the field, cropping our corn in our daily life and thinking about, oh damn, what will happen, kind of when the corn machine is coming. And when we now think about, okay, it's a little bit a silly example probably, but everyone knows kind of that corn machine is nothing bad, yeah? And the answer is no. It's there for 200 years. That the people are afraid of being unemployed regarding automation. But what we have here kind of March of the Machines makes idle hands, yeah, and it's from, or I really have to look. I looked it up. It's 1923, something like that. Yeah, we always had it, but it's just we don't have enough fantasy kind of to think. Okay, what can we do in the future, and what could be other jobs? Where should we go? Yeah, it's at a time when 90% were standing on the field. Sure, they all ask, okay, what will happen when we don't need any more persons standing on fields? And this is a little bit the point what we also have. But when we look at the numbers, actually, there we see kind of 4 graphs, and this is the different kinds of work what we have. We have routine and non-routine jobs, and we have cognitive and manual labor work. So actually, when you combine it, you see that the non-routine cognitive work is growing. It's a yellow line. Yeah. So when we have to think, when we have to be at our strongest, yeah, have to be creative, do kind of research. Research is a super inefficient thing, but humans are really good at that. Yeah. Then we have routine cognitive work, what is kind of stagnating, and we have routine manual work. Since 1983 until 2013, you would expect with the extension of automation that actually it goes down. But no, it also stays more or less on the same level, and the non-routine manual work even is growing. So I deeply believe that AI will make the world a better place. This is because we are getting so much more productive. Like every of us will have multiple assistants. It will not be only like having a screen, where you have access to the data. No, you really will have assistants for everything. Yeah, it's for work, at home, for the children, for your healthcare, for your sport, and it will all help you and it will support you. Yeah, and you will work hand in hand with great AI solutions. And what this means is, first of all the wealth is growing. Yeah. When I look at the world, there is enough wealth to grow. It's not that it's a top and then there's the stop of the wealth growth. Yeah? And we even can getting more efficient with our resources, what we have. And second of all, it will give us the opportunity to do what we should do. Take more times and have more times kind of with friends, with family, with our co-workers, so having more interaction, yeah? Not doing kind of stupid email work, yeah? And sending, okay, when do you have time? Okay, no, sorry, I don't have time, okay. You can send me some other time slots. Or do all these, organizational work. It's kind of, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, but it makes a lot of sense that we combine kind of the things in what machines and AI is really good in and what we are really good in. And what I wish for you, that you find your AI and great AIs, and you also will have a better life with it. Thank you.
Hello. We have a question.
Sure.
Which will go. And the question is, the fourth industrial revolution is changing things very fast. Will this create social problems, or do you think new jobs will be created fast enough?
I think, even with this very positive view on it, I believe it will create social problems. It will create especially social problems in the middle of our society, not at the lowest end or at the highest end. Why? At the highest you have the expert, at the lowest you have really low costs, but in the middle we're kind of this, it will separate. And when you have kind of big separations and you have only a small rich and a lot of poor, that's also very unhealthy for our society. But I hope that kind of we realize that and we start kind of with education and with kind of adapting to it now, and starting to adapt now, that everything will be more positive than negative effects.
Okay. Do you know any case of using AI in the music industry? AI, I would assume.
I would assume that Shazam is
Shazam, yeah.
Shazam,
yeah.
And also Google, when you're having let them listen, or when you talk with your assistant. But besides that, I'm not an expert with music. Oh, I have another example with music. When think about it, you can hear now music created by AI. Think about how a music sounds when you can play with 14 fingers. I think it's awesome. Sounds really good.
I think the audience is not sure about that one yet, but we'll have to try it out. How old is Lisa, and how many customers do you have, and what does it cost? That's quite precise.
Yeah. We have right now, we are more or less in a closed beta. I have 50 customers who are using it, companies using it day in, day out. We also use it by ourselves, our sales teams using it day in, day out. And with pricing, it's the clear answer, it depends.
That's a good answer.
It's around 8 cents per draft.
Okay, and here's the last question, which could probably also be the topic of a thesis, but I'll give you like 30 seconds for it. How will AI change lives in our homes?
I believe that everywhere where you're clicking, where you're using remote controls, you will have kind of automated systems. So think again about repetitive work, but it will also be as smart that it will take your clothes, bring it away, make it nice, bring it back. It's like all the things kind of what you don't want to do. it will take over.
It's going to be amazing. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you, Dan.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.